So I'm going to role play here today that I'm a new user and I want to connect to this network. And how I would want to do that is like Evan mentioned, they provided, you've been provided some great resources. There's two ways you can do this. On the Montana Gov site, there is a live sensor map. So I'm just going to right click here and hit open in a new tab. And then that was allowed me to see a sensor map. In today's role playing, I'm going to be working here in Bozeman with Kyle. And one reason why I opened up that sensor map, I can tell today because that icon's green, that reference station is in good condition and operating correctly. In the FAQ, it'll go over that icon could be yellow, and that might be an alert to you to be caution, use it with caution. And if it was red, that would mean it's offline, and that could be due to comms or other reasons. Now, from both this site that was the original state-facing Montana State Library-facing site, there was also this printable network map. And then over on this site, you notice there is also a printable network map. So I'm going to now right-click on either one of those and open up that in a new tab. And then now I see this map, and that map is going to allow me some knowledge of the way the networks run. So we know that we're going to be operating right here at in Bozeman, and the station right in Bozeman is called MTSU. And so that's going to matter if we are trying to connect to that station via single base, okay? And then the power of a VRS is that and that's the preferred way to connect, and we'll show you that in the VRS scenario, we still are working in this sector right here, which is Southwest MT, because notice I'm within this georeference barrier here. Let's just call it that way. Now, of course, we are close to a borderline, so that you, and we'll talk about this, that maybe you could be confused and say you want to use SCMT. And we'll address this as we build our connections here. But in this map, you can see that really MTSU is right there, and that is a reference station. And there's also a VRS that covers the this region that's now called SWMT. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to minimize this and go into my software. Okay, so in most softwares, you have to tell the requirement for this to work is that you need to have an internet connection. So your software device, your data collector, would need to have some type of cellular connection. That could be provided with an internal SIM card. It can be provided sometimes by people hotspotting phones or hotspotting a MiFi from Verizon or AT&T or something like that. That's going to provide this device with internet. Now I'm running an emulator all the way here from Seattle today, but in simulating a position you can see in Bozeman. But this is still going to work. And then our videos were produced while we were on the ground in Montana. And so understand one of the first requirements is that, yes, your device has to have an internet connectivity to be able to get data that's coming from this VRS network. The second thing is obviously we got to be tracking satellites, and you have to be in the region that you're operating. What I mean by that, these networks are geofenced. And so if I was trying to really do this demonstration from Seattle today, I would not probably be able to get connections because of it's geofenced, okay? Now, the second thing that we need to do is build a GNS contact, or some way that we're going to log in with our credentials that have been provided to you by the Montana State Library. And so I'm going to go over to the software, and go to a menu, settings, and in our software, we happen to call it connections. And your software will have something similar. And you can see I've already built one here, and I've even have one built for other networks. Okay, and then so how are these built? I could take that one and copy it, but we'll go ahead and build it fresh from new by just hitting new here. So when I hit new, you have to give it a name. And I would encourage you, like other network providers have encouraged people, to name that how that connection on how you're intending to connect, maybe VRS or maybe single base. So in here, I'm just going to call this MTSRN, and then I'm just going to call it VRS for now, right? We're an internet rover, so that's what you're going to be using this as. And if the software for Ntrip happen to be turned off, and that's you'll need to slide that on. And that stands for Network Transport of RTCM over IP. And it's a standard. And that standard is for across many manufacturers in the industry. We'll show you this live here, but this is called connect directly to a mount point. And I could connect directly to a mount point. But when you're first operating, you won't know those mount points. And so I'm going to show you how to find those mount points, and then you could write the name down, and then they are case sensitive, and that way you could plug it in here later, but we're not going to do that right now. And so this can make it easy for some operators, so that way you don't make a mistake, happen to choose a wrong mount point, and that's why some people prefer to mount directly. The Ntrip name will be provided by the network provider, which is Kazi's team, and at the Montana State Library. In my case, I'll bring up just bringing up my credentials, and then we're going to punch them in here, okay? And so that's my username that was provided to us. And then the password is going to be, again, both these are case sensitive. So I'm typing in the correct password. And then you could look at that password to verify spelling. And then now it's important to actually punch in the correct IP address. And I can assure you from years of doing this, we want to make sure we double check and dot our I's and cross our T's here, because all it takes is one digit off on the username, the password, and the IP port, and things won't work, okay? The Montana State Library is using the international port 2101, which is usually for Ntrip. And so just understand that the port will always be 2101, at least for now. So I built this GNSS contact with a name, turned on Ntrip if it wasn't turned on, plugged in my username, my password, the correct IP, and the port. And then you don't have to turn on any of this information down here. So I'm just going to hit enter and store that connection. So now you see I've built one called MTSRN VRS.